Hello guys, good evening and welcome back. So in this video I want to show you guys how to draft a female Ankara, this trending Ankara trouser that has combat pockets, elastic and rope waistband. So the first thing you need to know is that you have to get your measurements, the hip circumference, the lap measurement, and the length of the trouser. You don't need to measure the knee or the ankle. Those areas are not necessary, except your client does not want it to be so big. You cannot measure accordingly, right? But on a regular measurement, you don't need those areas for you to get a perfect outfit. So here you first of all mark out the sidelines. So these sidelines I am marking out now is very important. So you mark them out just this way, and you also mark out your baseline. So now once you have marked out all of these lines, you can now start taking the measurements of the length of your trouser. Now the first measurement you are going to take will be your 2 inches for the folding or the hemming of the trouser. 2 inches for the folding or the hemming of the trouser. You measure all through this way and connect the line in this form. After this, you mark the length of your trouser. So the length of my trouser I have here, for my customer, we are working with a hip of 44, right? So let's work with the hip of 44. So the trouser length I have for him is, for her is 43, rather, 43. So you mark 43 inches just this way. 43 inches just this way. Please bear in mind that this length of trouser is not the regular trouser length. Like, it's not the length that you wear normally. You should make provision for the high heels to come in. It's always way longer than the regular length. So if I'm to suggest from the customer's free length, you can add extra 4 to 5 inches depending on how tall the person is as well. Then the hip measurement I have is 44, like I said. Now this hip is the fitted hip measurement. So I will use this hip, to get the crotch point. And then bear in mind that the standard formula to get a crotch point for a female is hips over 4 minus 1. So the hip I have is 44, over 4 is 11, minus 1 is 10. So you mark 10 inches right there for your crotch depth, right? 10 inches right there. And so you extend the line all through in this form. Then you also bear in mind that you are not going to use the actual hip in cutting this particular trouser. The hip is always way bigger than the regular hip, so we can just add extra 1.5 inch or 1 inch to the hip. Now bear in mind that any inch you add here is times 4. If you add half an inch, you're adding 2 inches. If you add 1 inch, you're adding 4 inches, right? That's what I mean, is that 44 is 11, right? So I will mark it at 12. That's 48 times 4. That's the hip is now bigger than the regular 44 hip. So I will mark 48 inch hip here, this way, and then mark extra 2 inches right there. That's for the crotch extension or the hip extension. And after which, then we are going to use her actual hip circumference, that's the 44, to get her waistline. We are not going to mark or use the exaggerated hip here, because we want to have it to be way bigger than the actual hip in the real measurement, like on the trouser, but the real hip as the waist, because we are going to use elastic here to do the waist and rubber, right? So here you mark the real hip here, that's 11 right there. It comes all through this way. Now in most cases, if you observe that you really want to give this outfit a fit or a shape that gives the feminine nature, what you will do is you extend the hip line here straight up to the waistline, so it goes all through this way, and then you start from here and mark 11 inches backwards. Invariably, you can remove 1 inch. The 1 inch that was added here, can be removed from here, right? So it goes all through this way, and then with the help of your hip curve, you bring your hip curve just this way and connect the hip curve to the waistline to the crotch point. It goes all through this way, and then you come up here by 2 inches, which is the hip point, 2 inches, and then with your freehand sketch or your armhole curve as well, you can place it in this form. You make a curve that goes all the way to this very point. You see back? Then, in this case, we are going to get the knee line. Now, the reason for the knee line is just for familiarity's sake, for you to know how it's being gotten, but it won't be needed whatsoever. But here you mark from the crotch depth to your length of trouser, 33. Divide this distance into 2 equal parts. So this length I have here is 16.5. So minus 3 inches will give me 13.5. Now remember that this length of trouser is not the regular trouser length. So I will just remove 1 inch again. That's so I'm using 12 now for my hip line, for my knee line. Then you just have to work it out, or you can still measure your waist to knee. You mark. Then after you have marked your waist to knee, now let's get the gradient line or the grain line or the grid line, depends on what you call it. So here you measure the total distance from the hip extension to this point, that's 14. Get the middle, that's 7, right? You mark 7 inches this way, extend the 7 inches all through to the knee point and also to the ankle line, just this way, to get the grain line or the grid line. Then here you connect the line straight up this way, connect the line all through this way. So right here, now the beauty of this outfit is that it's fitted. Okay, let me okay, I have done this part. So it gets fitted on the hip region and flows down to the calf and to the knee all through. You don't need to put any other measurement except when your client does not want it to have that nature. If you now deem fit to open up the leg, like if you are going to have the bigger version of this trouser on the hem side or the leg side, you're not going to mark this baseline here. You're going to push this measurement like 5 inches in and mark the whole trouser at the middle, so that you have enough space to widen the leg if you're making that bigger leg type of trouser, right? But this one is the one that flows straight down from the hip straight to the ankle, to the knee and the ankle. So all you need to do here now is to transfer the measurement you have here, that's 14, the hip extension all through this way, transfer it to this very point, and then you connect from that very point, 14, you go all the way down. Now bear in mind that you can still decide to have your ankle and your knee a little bit fitted, like a little bit closed. What then you need to do is all you need to do here is to extend or reduce these measurements as well. So I hope you are seeing, or you saw the waistline I did there. I will explain a bit about that point so you understand what I did at that particular position, right? So what I explained on the waistline, in case you did not see it at the beginning, I was saying that once you have gotten your hip at extra 2 inches, then bring the value of the real hip straight line to the waist, right? Then start from here, mark your waistline backwards, and then connect all through this way. That was a summary of what I did right here. So after you have done this now, you are going to now come down by half an inch, that's 0.5. Now bear in mind, this is not a high waist, it's a regular waistline. Then connect this point all through this way, and this is what we have. So I will cut out this and then show you as well how to cut the back panel. After which you now put your pocket. So the pocket point I have here will be 7.5, or I can make it 7. Let's do it 7 inches deep this way, and then 2 inches width, 2 inches or 2.5, however, but I'm doing 2 inches for this particular size. So now if you observe, this outfit has two different colors. Now the left part is red and the right is green. I placed it in this form intentionally. I didn't want to have the stripe come the other way around, so I wanted to go in this form. Now I want to match the corresponding parts of the back panel to also be red, and the right to also be green, right? So now, since the one that's always on top is red, like the one that's always on top is the right, so I will also maintain this level, right? I will also maintain this dragging, like I would bring the Ankara all through down this way. So this is what I'm trying to say. I will bring it all through this way, right? And then the back panel is this. So, and the one on top is going to be they should be the right panel. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like, this is the Ankara now, you get. So if I'm trying to cut now, if I cut from this point, then I am meant to have extension crotch. So if I join it, this one will be the left rather, not the right. This one, the one on top is always the left. So here I will turn it over this way just to have my extension. Now in this particular trouser, don't mind the Ankara print and the direction I'm trying to maintain here or use. You are going to have a bit of twist or change of pattern, how this was, or how this will be cut. Now we are going to have this Ankara. The extension of the back panel is only going to be applicable on the crotch, right? The back extension will only going to be applicable on the crotch point. So while the whole cutting remains the same. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that here, if you are trying to cut this panel now, what you do is simple. Extend the crotch line. Sorry, hold on. Extend this crotch line right there, this way, and mark your 2 inches or 2.5. In some cases, you can use 3 if you have an extra large client, right? So I'm using 2.5 in this case, 2.5. Now, this 2.5 will be connected back to the knee line this way. Now, it will not go all through to the hemline area. The reason is because we are going to use the allowance you have from the hip straight line to lock the trouser. The back panel for this particular trouser, you don't need to extend it by 2 inches at this area. It will make the whole trouser to be tilting to the front, right? So here, I will extend this point from here a little bit away, this way. I will extend it a bit away or off this way. And then remember that what we have here is the total waist hip line, that's 11. So here I will mark 11 from that line, 11 inches this way, and then extra 1.5, which is normal, the one we add at our hemline. Then raise here by 1.5 inches or 2 inches in order not to allow the buttocks to show or to be kind of a low waist at the back point. So here you connect to this very point. So after you have connected to that very point, then you use your freehand sketch, to connect from here to this point. So you just go all the way. You just go all the way from here, tilting your ruler away, go all through this way to this very point. That's for the back panel drafting. So this is how the back panel should look like. right? This is how the back panel should look like. So this is how it is. So we are going to cut excerpts of what we have drafted now. So here you cut from here, go all through this way, go all through this way, and from here as well, you go all through this way. So this extension I did here is very essential. Once you are making a female trouser, it's very important that you do that thing. It will help the back panel to sit properly at the appropriate point, right? So here, this is how it goes. This is how it goes. So cut all this way. So this will give you a nice positioning, a nice patterning at the when you are done cutting, right? Now this other blue area will be used for pockets and the band as well, so that it will correspond very well. So this is how it is. So you cut, why I'm doing the video on is for you to see the area I'm cutting from, so that you won't get confused on how did I go about it. So this is how it is, right? So now we can now notch your pocket points. You notch here and you also notch here. So this is how it looks like. So let me show you the back panel. This is how the back panel actually looks like. So it will also have, this blue, came at a very nice point. So I think I prefer it this way. So I will also use the blue to do my pockets. So this will be the cutting processes. So the next video you will see will be on the sewing, and the other thing you need to see will come on the next video. Thanks for watching. So please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, comment, drop your questions, and join us on this channel to learn more on how to draft and sew properly. See you guys on the next one. Bye bye for now.